Hello everyone, so I am the next reporter from the SHM 3B. So I will discuss also about crowd management, intervention, and control strategies. So what is this three? Crowd management refers to strategies and tactics that use conversations and contact with event organizers to encourage voluntary compliance with valid commands and leave little room for enforcement action. Next is crowd intervention. Techniques and procedures used to isolate and apprehend lawbreakers inside an ostensibly authorized gathering in order to permit the ongoing enjoyment of constitutional rights. Next is control strategies. This is a detailed preparations for what to do if special causes are detected in your process. These strategies outlines the uncontrollable circumstance, potential reasons, how to check each cause, and the findings of your check. There should be a control strategy for every control chart in use. So we have here a situation, lawful assembly. A First Amendment rights include protections for free speech and assembly like speeches, marches, demonstrations, rallies, picketing, public assemblies, protests, and celebratory events. So the law enforcement response for this situation is to use crowd management strategies and tactics. So it is to meet with the events planner, analyze the group's history and risk, assemble a planning group, aid in the production of permits, create an incident action plan and goals, determine and allocate resources, track and evaluate crowd behavior, disperse opposing parties, keep, keep a video log, explain guidelines and expectations at roll call and briefing, encourage facilitations or avoid conflict, talk to the organizers and learn. Next is isolated unlawful behavior. So this is a isolated criminal action within a crowd should not always entail designation of an unlawful assembly, like isolated property damage, unexpected violent acts, rock throwers, and individuals demonstrating while seated. So the law enforcement will use crowd intervention strategies, tactics in this kind of situation, like using monitors and organizers to encourage voluntary compliance, isolated, apprehend, and expel lawbreakers as soon as you can. Video of police and lawbreakers in action. Utilize boosted sound to convey meaning or to enforce compliance. Whenever possible, adopt discrete strategies. Avoid being the demonstration's main emphasis. When an immediate arrest cannot be made, locate suspects utilizing cameras, observation posts, aviation, and behavior detection teams. As behavior evolves, continue to assess, escalate, and de-escalate, and also don't act or behave aggressively in a way that might draw attention to police enforcement or to stir up the crowd. So we have here another situation which is called unlawful assembly. So these assemblies may be dispersed when they are violent or pose a clear and present danger of violence, or the group is breaking some other law in the process. If a crime is occurring Action may be taken to stop it prior to a dispersal order being given. Per Penal Code 407, two or more persons assemble to commit an unlawful act or commit a lawful act in a boisterous or tumultuous manner. So, the law enforcement response in this kind of situation is to use crowd control strategies and tactics. So, they will seek voluntary compliance, video action of officers and law violators, act quickly, request needed resources, put control forces in place, identify dispersal routes, consider a traffic plan, move media to protected area, use amplified sound declaration of force and unlawful assembly, disperse and or arrest unlawful activity, with incident commander approval, deploy kinetic energy, projectiles if objectively reasonable to defend against threat to life, serious bodily injury, or to bring an objectively dangerous and unlawful situation safely and effectively under control. Track and contain groups involved in unlawful activity using cameras, observation, videos, and or aviation, arrest individuals who fail to disperse or involved in illegal activity, with incident commander approval, deploy chemical agents to defend officers or to disperse the crowd, attempt the escalation, and apply reasonable force, report use of force, and lastly, restore order. In the next situation, we have a riot or any use of force or violence disturbing the public peace or any threat to use force or violence, if accompanied by immediate power of execution by two or more persons acting together and without authority of law is a riot. So this is a group violent behavior, group acts of property damage, applied the escalation techniques. So the law enforcement will use crowd control strategies and tactics again. So this will be a video action of officers and law violators. Next, request needed resources, have control forces in place, stop the illegal activity, put a traffic plan in place, track and contain groups involved in illegal behavior using cameras, observation posts, shadow teams, or air unit. Next is arrest law violators. Next, with incident commander approval, deploy kinetic energy projectiles if objectively reasonable to defend against threat to life, serious bodily injury, or to bring an objectively dangerous and unlawful situation safely and effectively under control. Ensure only reasonable force, report use of force, restore and maintain order, restore traffic flow, discourage groups from forming, protect lives, property, and vital facilities, remain present, reassess the situation, return to normalcy, act quickly, and lastly, attempt the escalation and apply reasonable force. So we have here applicable statutes. So first, we have the Penal Code 69. Category is crime against the executive power of the state. The subject is resisting an executive officer. So, resisting an executive officer is a crime. Resisting an executive officer while they are performing their duties is against the law. According to this statute, although it is regarded as a more serious offense, it is comparable to resisting arrest under Penal Code Section 148A. Next is Penal Code 71, crime against the executive power of the state. The subject is threat of injury made to peace officer in performance of his duty. Threatening to cause bodily harm or property damage to public employees, school officials, or public employees is under California Penal Code 71 PC. Next is Penal Code 102, crime against public justice. So the subject is retaking property from officer. So anyone who knowingly causes harm to, destroys, takes, attempts to take, or helps another person take, or attempts to take any personal property that any officer or person has in charge under any legal action is guilty of misdemeanor. Next is Penal Code 148, crime against public justice. So the subject is resisting or obstructing public officer. Willful resistance to a police officer while they are carrying out their responsibilities is illegal, according to Penal Code 148C. Running away from police authorities or engaging them physically to stop them from handcuffing you or removing you from the scene are often two ways to resist an arrest. Next is Penal Code 148.1, crime against public justice. So the subject is false reporting planting of bomb. Any person who, or while knowing the claim to be false, makes any report that a bomb or other explosive has been or will be placed in a public or private location is guilty of a misdemeanor. So next is Penal Code 148.2, crime against public justice. Subject is interfering with fireman or EMT. A misdemeanor is committed by anyone who knowingly conducts any of the following activities when a structure is burning or at any other time or location where a fireman, or a member of emergency rescue staff is performing or attempting to perform their official duties. Next is Penal Code 148.9, crime against public justice. Subject, giving false identification. So, false identity to a police officer is a crime according to California Penal Code Section 148.9. Basically, it is against the law to deliberately identify yourself to a police officer as someone else or a fictitious person, according to Criminal Code 148.9 BC. Next is Penal Code 1.151, crime against public justice. Subject is advocating injury or death of peace officer. So, anyone who advocates the willful and unlawful killing or injury of a peace officer with the intent to cause such killing or injury and who does so at a time, place, and under circumstances that make such advocacy like likely to result in the impending willful and unlawful killing or injury of a peace officer. Next is Penal Code 169, Crime Against Public Justice. Subject is picketing in or near courthouse with intent to interfere or obstruct administration of justice or influence judge, juror, witness, or officer of the court. A misdemeanor is committed by anyone who pickets or marches inside or close to a structure that houses a court in this state with the intent to obstruct, hinder, or interfere with the administration of justice or with the intent to persuade any judge, jury, witness, or officer of the court to perform his duties. Next is Penal Code 171F, Crime Against Public Justice. So, entering state capital without authorization, disorderly conduct. So, no individual or group of individuals shall intentionally and willfully enter or remain on any section of the chamber of either house of the legislature unless permitted to do so in accordance with regulations approved by either such house or permission granted by such house. 2. Engage in any behavior inside the state capital or capital that might interfere with the smooth running of official business. A misdemeanor is committed when this clause is broken. Next is Penal Code 182, Crime Against Public Justice. Subject, conspiracy. If two or more people plot together to commit any type of crime, purposely and falsely accusing another person of a criminal or arranging for that person to be detained or charged with a crime. Third is making a false motion or continuing a lawsuit, action, or other proceeding. Fourth, to swindle and defraud anyone of any property using any methods that are illegal in and of themselves, or to obtain money or property via deception or by making false promises with the intent to break those promises. 5. To engage in any behavior that endangers the public health or morality, or that taints or impedes justice or the proper application of the law. 6. To commit any offense against the President. Next is Penal Code 185, Crime Against Public Justice. Subject, wearing masks or personal disguises in the commission of any public offense. It will be forbidden for anyone to do a mask, fake mustache, or any other personal disguise, full or partial.